Welcome back. With the school year upon us, one predicament that parents often are confronted with is the extent of their child's involvement in youth sports. And these days, youth sports have become big business and can get very serious. So how can parents make the right choices and create a low-stress athletic experience for their kids? Here with all the answers is Garret Kramer, author of the book Still Power, the Inner Source of Athletic Excellence. Good morning. Thanks for coming on the show.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
First, just tell us about your book, your goal with it, what you want people to take away from it.
Well, I run a mental conditioning company for athletes, a lot of pro athletes, college athletes, but I wanted to take that understanding that we teach, which basically says, Sarah, that the answers are found within us, not in somebody else's strategy or methodology.
Does that mean like your parents, what your parents want you to do? Maybe they were a tennis star and they want their kids to be a tennis star and they're pushing their kids to play tennis, and maybe their kid doesn't want to. How do you figure that out as a parent when you're trying to figure out which sports to put your kids in?
Right, exactly. It's key for parents to recognize what's going on in their own heads. In other words, we make productive decisions, whether it's about sports or activities in general, anything. We make productive decisions from elevated states of mind. We make unproductive decisions from low states of mind, right? So parents need to, it's important that parents recognize when they're in an elevated state of mind and when they're a little bit insecure, because if they act on that insecurity, they're going to make bad decisions for their children.
So how do they know?
It's very simple. How do you feel?
Okay.
That off feeling in your gut is an instinctive sign that you need to look in another direction. So if you have a child that you're pushing and pushing and pushing, and that pushing just feels a little off to you, 100% of the time it's going to be off.
And is that how you determine what sports maybe you keep your child in, or ones that you just kind of let them let go? Right.
You may have an instance where your child doesn't want to go that day. Happens to all parents. Happened to me when my kids were young, right? Now, the question of whether you push them to attend that sport or get off the couch that day is really not the issue. The state of mind from which that decision is made is the issue. So again, if that decision to kind of light the fire under your child is made from clarity, then it's going to work out just fine. But if it's made from ego or insecurity or worry, it won't. And
we know youth sports and high school sports, everything is so competitive nowadays. Every parent wants their kid to be the best. How do you make sure that sports and extracurricular activities are a positive experience for your child?
Well, you have to really, two things. You have to tap in with your own state of mind moment to moment. That's number one, like we just talked about. But secondly, it's important to know what's going on behind the scenes in your child's head. Right? Not to necessarily judge their behavior, but look to the state of mind that kind of creates that behavior. Right? So it's, and not be judgmental. Right? So not be judgmental of that behavior. Kind of be compassionate and understanding of what's happening. Again, if your child's in a low place, he or she is not going to make great choices, going to kind of be lazy and not want to get going. If they're in a high place, let's go. So understanding what's going on in their own head and not judging things at face value is vital.
So all this is in your book. Where can people get a copy of this?
Yeah, you could go to my website, GarretKramer.com, or Amazon, Barnes & Noble. It's readily available.
And we'll put a link to it from your website on our website, ctnow.com. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
We appreciate it. Now here's your Northeast Living.